die, I knew that I needed to collapse those boundaries between us and them, thus the tunnel. And then I could come here to die. I thought if I could see the world through their eyes, be a stranger in a strange land, then maybe I could understand them better, and thus understand myself. Dying by demon hands, I could then make penance for my sins. But then I saw you, Urameshi. First demonized in a human's body, and then humanized in a demon's. You dissolved the barriers between us in ways I never imagined, and now I can finally rest. Urameshi, you are the justice I could never find. Great changes will come through you. Someday when you're lying in my position, you'll know a dying man's need for closure. But until then, thank you.
Wow. After 3 decades, this show still slaps. Today we're talking about an old classic. A pioneer for the shonen genre began its anime air date and runtime from the year 1992 to 1994. It has left an impact on young fans like myself who grew up with the series, finding themselves rewatching the series from time to time, even many years after. It has a successful manga and anime series, beloved in Japan, and in a couple days from now, depending on when this video comes out, Netflix will release their live-action adaptation for it. That's right, today we're talking about the nostalgic, wonderful, and honestly underrated series that is Yu Hakusho. Yu Hakusho is an amazing series. You must watch it, and I'll tell you why you must watch it. First, let's get you introduced to who wrote the series. The GOAT himself, Yoshihiro Togashi, the man who is widely known for 2 things. His other series, that being Hunter x Hunter, and of course his continuous streak of hiatuses. And whilst that is also a fantastic series, it's easy to forget what made him even be in the position that he is in today. And that starts with Yu Hakusho. This is one of my absolute favorite animes of all time, and it honestly amazes me how many people around me haven't even given it a chance. A lot of the bigger names such as Bleach, Demon Slayer, and Jujutsu Kaisen all took inspiration from Yu Hakusho. It's important to remember just how impactful this series was. I don't want to fully go into spoilers or major story elements in this video for the most part, but to use it as leverage. Let's first talk about their characters. Oh my god, they're amazing. Introducing the main 4 protagonists, Yusuke Urameshi, Kuwabara, Kurama, and Hiei. Each of them is as great as the last. Not a single bad apple in the main cast. Even a lot of the side characters, Keiko, Shizuru, Yukina, Koenma, Botan, Genkai, and even you too, George. They all feel as vibrant and as fresh and as endearing as each other, dealing with real human struggles that they have to face, which it's represented by the 4 main characters. Struggle of purpose, struggle of belonging, struggle of identity, and struggle of love. Seeing how these characters battle their demons and dealing with their insecurities still keeps me wanting to go back and watch them over and over again, with how their challenges are portrayed. Whether it's waiting for the love of your life to finally run to you by telling you how they feel, finally putting you first, or finding out about your long-lost family member and leaving home to find them, despite being captured and used for disgusting reasons, and having that said family member be by your side most of the times protecting you, but isn't allowed to tell you that they were the one you were looking for. Or surrounding yourself with immense guilt, blaming yourself for the reason for the world being at risk, caused by someone who you deemed as a lost cause. There are many more examples, but we'd be here all day. These are all challenges that Yu Hakusho's cast are thrown in and dealing with. It brings in a human element to their writing and engages the viewers. But as I go on and prattle over how great the main cast and side characters are, that doesn't mean the villains aren't as good. Oh no. This series has some of the best villains. Shinobu Sensui, the antagonist of the Chapter Black saga. Such a captivating and vastly interesting character. He makes the world of Yu Hakusho even bigger than we thought, with the reveal of the oppressions the demons had to go through from the humans for the first time in the series, making us feel sympathetic towards them, and how witnessing these events for himself made changes to Sensui's personality and ideals of the world. In fact, I strongly believe Sensui and the entire arc of Chapter Black rather gave Togashi the inspiration to later write his biggest and most complex arc to date in his career as a mangaka, the Chimera Ant arc from Hunter x Hunter. Anyone who has seen both properties would know that the themes both stories present are relatively similar. Next, Yomi. Whilst he is not as great as Sensui, he still managed to bring something to the series. He is revered time and time again in the final arc of the political chaos he would bring to both the human and demon world if he was the king. He isn't necessarily evil, as he doesn't go out of his way to do outlandish evil things, and in the end decides to travel with his son, which is something to talk about, I suppose. And finally, my personal favorite villain in the entire series and one of my favorites in all of anime, Toguro. More on him later though. These characters have time and time again stolen my heart, and even talking about it now, I'm reminded of all of those feelings I felt. Moving on, I have to say that the best way for those who haven't seen it to experience it for the first time has to be through the anime, straight up. Not only is this most definitely the best thing Studio Period has ever done, barring Bleach's new season, and the amount of love the animators and staff put into making the series, but it also adds more to what the manga ultimately lacked at times. An example being the final bit, the Three Kings Saga. Widely known to be the weakest part of Yu Yu Hakusho's run, to which I agree with, due to its rushed ending and potential in the manga, as this is where Togashi's physical health and sadly mental health issues first started to come to light, making him unable to finish the story the way that he wanted to. The anime took levity of this to not only flesh out the saga more, even though it's still pretty short in the anime, but to also implement in anime filler moments, to add more breathing space to the arc and more notably, to its ending. There are also some OVA specials that show the events of how Hiei and Kurama met for the first time, the conclusion of Yukina's arc trying to find her long-lost brother, and the epilogue, past the events of the ending, closing character arcs. Overall, with all this being said, there is a small bit in the manga after the Three Kings saga that was never adapted in any form, but regardless, the anime is truly the better experience for this series 100%. And I don't usually get into the sub versus dub debates, as naturally I don't really care for it. But I have to say, the best way to experience the Yu Yu Hakusho anime is through the English dub. This is one of the few times where I'd say the dub is superior to the sub. Though at times it can be a little inaccurate to the source material, a lot of its added dialogue is not only humorous at times, but it fits the tone and it fits exactly what the characters would have said. The English dub actor for Yusuke, Justin Cook, absolutely nailed his performance as the role, that I honestly vastly prefer it over the original seiyuu. The very same can be said for pretty much all of the main cast. Here's a scene comparison from the sub and the dub, and you can tell me which you think is better.
どっちが妊娠か分かりゃしねえぜ。すまねえな、こんな根性なしが本体じゃ。痛みは邪魔だ。どけー。
Oh, that's just perfect. I even get to let down my own inner self, too. He's in pain because I am. Because I couldn't hold my weight.
Let's talk about one of its best arcs, if not the best arc, the Dark Tournament Saga. This has the reputation of being the best tournament arc in anime. Tournament arcs are considered a norm in shonen manga, as most mangas in the genre nowadays seems to have one of them. A formula that started off with the original Dragon Ball series. Throughout all of the entirety of Dragon Ball's run actually, there's been a consistent thread of tournaments that's been relatively the same, but new, in plot movement, even through to Super. My personal favourite tournament from that whole series, however, has to be the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai at the end of the original Dragon Ball. Goku is now grown up, and we see character arcs coming to a close that was touched upon till that point. But the main fight obviously being the staple, the climactic end of the original run before Z, the iconic fight, Goku vs Piccolo. It was a clash of ideals between the two characters. It was choreographed well, it is humbly well spoken of in the Dragon Ball fanbase. The build-up, the tension, the action, the memes, all of them, and the brutality. Even the ending of the fight went on to drastically change the course of one of its characters. This is without a doubt one of the best fights of Dragon Ball, making it in my personal top 3 from that series. However, despite how great it is and how much I praised it, I'm gonna be honest. It does not come close to what Yu Yu Hakusho's Dark Tournament had to offer. This tournament had stakes. Killing was a must in order to win. If our heroes didn't and lost the tournament, the demons would go over to the human world and kill them all, taking their world. There is tension, there is sadness, there is thrill, and of course, there is engagement. And that's what hooks a lot of people onto this show. You hear from a lot of folks that this is where Yu Yu Hakusho really gets good, to which I agree and disagree. But anyways, this was the first time in the series where the demons felt humanized. After an entire saga of them being a looming threat, Togashi doing what he does best. The 4 main characters are pushed to the brink time and time again, strength-wise and character-wise, each battling themselves, from Kurama's fear, forcing him to revert back to his demons, to Hiei finally growing into part of the team, actually having care for his teammates, to Kuwabara's struggle to hold his own amongst the group, and to finally Yusuke's inability to save those close to him, because he wasn't able to unleash his full potential against the looming sense of dread that is Toguro. Toguro is the main antagonist of this saga. He stops at nothing to get what he wants. His whole goal was to find an opponent who could keep up with him and to bring out 100% of his full power. That person he chose was naturally Yusuke. Yusuke in this saga for me is easily the best he is in the entire series. For the first time, we see him actually struggle emotionally. This is the first time Yusuke understood his role in the story. In the first few episodes, he dies and is immediately made into a spirit detective, and for the majority of his time as one, he has rejected his position, wanting to push it away as much as he could, not taking his master Genkai's training as seriously as he could or wanted to. He learned the value they have on him and he has on them, and when she dies in his arms, the feeling that he feels is indescribable. For a series that tackles spirits and death and all those relating, Yusuke never really had anyone that cared for him, and vice versa. His dad was nowhere around until he was a demon king that was kinda shoehorned, and his mum was always drinking and out seducing herself to get by to even care about him. His teachers in school always saw the worst in him, and he really had no friends. Genkai was the first person that truly cared for Yusuke and his well-being. despite being harsh on him. This was the first time Yusuke lost someone close to him. Those feelings of rage, hatred, sorrow, denial, and grief he's never felt before. And Toguro brings all that out from him. Toguro brings out the best and the worst of Yusuke. Even when Yusuke finally powers up and goes to face Toguro in the finals, following Kuwabara's sacrifice, all he feels is sadness. And this really hits. And this contrasts well with Toguro, as he is a character who, on the outside, looks like a character full of brutality, only looking for a good fight, when on the inside, he's a broken man, a shell of his former self. He gave up everything for power that he forced himself to garner after losing his close ones to a demon to take part in the tournament years later for revenge. Losing himself entirely, he gave up his relationship with Genkai and his humanity for the sake of power. And he knows it was wrong. He knows he made the wrong choice. The very reason why he did everything he could to pull out everything from Yusuke was because he saw him in himself. Yusuke was just like how he once was, and he wanted Yusuke to not only draw out the power he so long desired to test, but for Yusuke to show him that this power wasn't worth it, wasn't worth all the sacrifice. He knew he was wrong, and he wanted Yusuke to prove him wrong, show him that he was. He truly wanted to die, for his internal suffering to end, for him to finally be at peace. In the end, choosing to suffer for his sins for his entire afterlife. What a tragic character, man. The parallels Togashi made between the two characters. Yusuke and Toguro are truly two sides of the same coin, making their fight a glorifying masterpiece in visual and storytelling. It is the culmination of everything this entire tournament was leading up to, and it made the conclusion wonderfully wrapped up. This is me honestly simplifying how great of an arc this is, as there's a lot more I can say on it, but you know, show rather than tell. This series is truly that of something special. The fact that even after 30 years since its last air date, the last chapter, people still fondly remember and praise it profoundly. This very show is the reason why in animation, in storytelling, in everything, that I really love the 90s anime aesthetic and feel, as this show honestly does it the best. I truly hope the upcoming live action series manages to capture the same tone and heart that Togashi's original vision had, even if events may play out differently than the source material. I'm still going through my struggles. I'm still going through challenges that are hard, but I know I can get through it. With a good circle around you, pushing one another forward. I will find my feet no matter how long I have to push through my limits, and no matter how long I have to wait, whether I know what I'm fighting for or not. And that's what this show taught me and continues to teach me whenever I'm at my lowest. I can thank Togashi for that dearly. For fans of battle shonen, for fans of great storytelling, for fans of relatable characters whose shoes you can put yourselves into time and time again, and for fans who just wants to have a good time, to you all, this is why you must watch Yu Hakusho.